Hello and welcome to the inaugural interview at VPNCompare.co.uk. I'm Christopher Seward, and earlier I spoke with Dave Cox of LiquidVPN. Present were both myself and Dave, and no doubt the NSA and GCHQ had a sneaky listening too. So, hi boys. Anyway, without further ado, on with the interview. So Dave, what's your position within LiquidVPN?
I am the founder and CEO of LiquidVPN.
So you're the main man then, are you?
I am.
And how many staff do you actually employ solely for the VPN service?
I have one full-time person that does helps me with support, and then I've got two people that I employ part-time. One guy's a network security guru that kind of helps me with some of the routing stuff, and when we have problems, we kind of go back and forth. And then I've got a part-time developer that helps with some of the web stuff.
All right, okay. Because one of the things I liked when I did a review of your service the other month was how personal your service was. I liked the fact that you could pop on live support and speak to yourself. Obviously, if you need anything resolving, then going to the top man is always the best idea.
Yeah, want to try to keep it as personal as possible. And Mike is a really good guy. I've known him for quite a while. I've worked with him, throughout the years, because we live in the same area. So, I worked with him at IBM for about 6 years, and he's a really knowledgeable person. And but you get to a point where you have to have someone else, because I was doing 12, 14, 16 hour days, and not even seeing daylight, trying to just catch up on everything, between doing new things, implementing new things, and testing out servers, and then also the support requests and stuff like that. So it was about time that I got someone in to kind of help me, and Mike was like the perfect choice for that.
Yeah, I have noticed occasionally you've been posting blog posts or Twitter notices, and I've had a look at the time, and it's been quite early over here in the UK, and I've thought to myself, what time's Dave up in the US still tinkering away with his service?
Yeah, yeah. I get up and start at 9 in the morning. A lot of times I don't go to bed till I maybe 3. There are a lot of long days. I always kind of thought it would be awesome to work from my house. Everyone, you kind of think, it'd be nice not to have to fight that morning rush hour and the cold and whatever. And then I realized, so when you're doing this for yourself, the amount of hours that you put in are just incredible.
Yeah, there's no one to pass the buck to if you don't feel like doing something one day.
Exactly. I come down over the Christmas season. I got kind of sick, and I still had to do all this stuff, and you're just sitting there, got the flu and throwing up, and you still have to get it done, because realistically, if it fails, it's on me.
Yeah. Explaining to the wife that you've got to work on Christmas Day, or just hold on a minute, I've got to do this.
Exactly. Luckily, with my tablet, I can kind of still bring that stuff with me, with Wi-Fi, and I got a hotspot right on my phone, and I use that when I go out, because sometimes you have to get, you can't just hole up in your office at home and tinker away forever. Eventually you're going to have to go out and see the sunlight. So
yeah,
it's nice having.
Nice to interrupt your meals when you're out having a good time, but it's nice to know that you're always available. And as I said, when I reviewed your service, it was one of the nicer features of your service that you could come directly to yourself and obviously get any problems resolved. And I'm sure you remember we had a few interesting chats on your live help when I appeared under various guises.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's something that I'm always going to want to keep, because the best way to really get a feel for how your service is doing is by getting out and talking with people yourself. You see some of these places where they don't do any of that, and they really don't have a pulse on what their subscribers are 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 thinking, because they don't actually talk to them. They just hear what other people are saying that they're that they're hearing. But when you rely on secondhand knowledge, you can't adapt quickly, and you can't correct things quickly.
That's true. How do you see this progressing as your company grows and as your subscriber base grows?
Well, I think that as as my base grows, obviously there's going to be, I'm going to have to hire people to do other things, but I always see me having a big hand in all of the technical and in subscriber relations. I've always been a people person, and I come from a support background, so I know what it is to offer good support. And on the flip side is I know how it is to have a good support experience, and when you come away from that and be like, they really helped me. And then and that's something that I always want to deliver to the users. So I think I'm always going to you're always going to see me having interactions with users, whether it's on chat or by ticket or whatever. It might be a little bit less as it grows and there's other things, but I think you're always going to see me.
So you won't be one of those who's retiring to the Bahamas, then we'll always be able to get hold of you.
Well, that's the beautiful thing with technology. Even if I up and move to the Bahamas, I can still take everything with me and do it out there.
So, when did you start the company? And if you could give me a little bit of background information on it, perhaps?
Well, actually, I started SMR Hosting, which is kind of the parent company.
All right, okay.
I started SMR Hosting officially started SMR Hosting back in 2010. Although it had been, I had been doing it privately for doing consulting for customers and different corporations since like 2007, and we were doing doing a lot of VPN access for for remote offices and stuff like.
Okay.
So it started in 2007 that way, and then in 2010 I made SMR Hosting, and I was doing mainly like web hosting and custom server setups and consulting, that kind of thing. Finally in 2012, I was using a few different VPN services, and I seen a huge potential there, but then I seen a lot of things that I kind of didn't like, and I thought I could do it better. And so, in 2012, I started offering VPN service at SMR Hosting, and it kind of pretty much it grew pretty quickly from there. And I thought, I really need to split this up, because having one website that offers all these services is kind of confusing, and it can get things get lost.
Right.
So that's when LiquidVPN kind of came to fruition.
And from a personal point, what's your day-to-day tasks like? What do you do on a daily basis yourself?
Boy, it kind of really depends on the day, but I'm always kind of first, when I get up in the morning, I kind of look at first of all, I get up and I make sure that there's no requests that need to be done, any tickets that I might have came in. So I answer whatever there is for that. Then I kind of try to keep up on current events, especially like where my servers are and whatever kind of privacy issues might be happening at the time. I do that for a little while, and then after that, whether it's development, like, lately I've been doing the LiquidVPN version 2 development, and, the whole billing area, the website, the software, all of it's gotten facelifts and been modified, and we just did a big network upgrade to do, we're offering an optional firewall with intrusion prevention.
Oh, right, okay.
So, for users that, they want more protection, especially like if you're on like a mobile device or something, you don't really have a firewall.
No.
You don't have that Windows built-in firewall. So, whatever project is going on, I just kind of like wade knee deep into it. So, lately it's been working on that, and then, doing whatever support requests or whatever comes up from that. There's that, and you're just kind of talking to people, maybe getting a little bit of stuff on Twitter, or a little bit of stuff on, email, and then doing some research to see, what's upcoming, the trends, it's just everything.
So
it's hard to say.
Your in tray is getting bigger than the out tray then?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I did take a look at version 2 of your website. Is that in response to customer demand? I notice you've changed some of the packages you offer.
Yeah, we were right now. With version 1, I had a single session plan that was for $4.99 a month, and it's great for most people. But some people that might have a less than perfect network connection, or let's say there's between the server and them, there's some network in the middle that might be having latency issues or whatever, causing it to have a bad connection, and then the person disconnects. Well, when you only have one session, basically, as soon as someone disconnects, you have to wait until the server catches up. It realizes that you're disconnected before you can go and sign on again.
Okay. And,
sometimes that could take a few minutes, and people didn't like that. So what we did is I changed the plans. It's basically $1 more a month, but then you get 2 sessions. So that way, in case you're ever disconnecting, you're ever accidentally disconnected, you can always just sign right back on again, and you don't have to worry about that.
Okay, and is that able to be used with like a mobile device as well at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Or
yeah, definitely, yeah, and you can utilize it that way too, where you can have 2 devices on at the same time if that's how you want to do it.
All right, okay. So you're registered in the US as a US company. Do you see that as having advantages, disadvantages, and how is customer perception based on like recent Snowden revelations?
Well, being a US based company, there's advantages and there's disadvantages. Right now the US has great privacy laws. I'm not required to log in.
That'll raise a few eyebrows, Dave.
Huh?
That'll raise a few eyebrows.
Well, I mean, they do. They do have good privacy laws. If you look at it, we aren't required to log any data. We have no data retention laws in the USA. In that respect, it's great. Because a lot of companies, like in Europe, in other parts of the world, they are required to keep some sort of logs for some amount of time. I know some of the VPN services, they kind of skate around it, but they are required. They are supposed to be keeping some kind of logs, whether it's customer logs or billing logs or whatever. They are required to keep logs. Now, the flip side to that is, of course, with all this stuff with Snowden and all that, the U.S. has gotten a kind of a bad rap because the NSA can, just send you a pen register, and they get the whole keys to the whole castle there, and it's kind of it's a fine line that you have to you have to weigh the pluses and the minuses. At one point, I had considered moving the company over to Panama. And And the problem is it doesn't really matter where the company's located. If you've got people that are in the United States,
Mm.
you know, you would have to move your families over to Panama, or you would have to move your families over to wherever you're wanting to register your company. So, just having a company registered in another location, that's not enough. So that's kind of why I've just decided, I'm going to stay with the U.S., until something forces me to leave.
All right, okay, and then no doubt you'll register the company in the Bahamas, or
Exactly.
because you don't mind moving your family to the Bahamas.
Yeah, I get rid of all this snow.
Yeah, or any other exotic location will do.
Pretty much.
Which leads me on to the next question of, how do you find balancing customer privacy and legal risk management? Is that an issue, or?
Well, you know, the servers that I okay, my it kind of starts with my requirements. I kind of before when I first started, I kind of wanted to get like different locations, and I was putting up servers like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. I'm going to offer all the, and then you start kind of getting into it, and you start getting abuse reports and takedown requests, and fighting with data centers and stuff, and it's like, man, I maybe I should have did more research. So now I'm at the point where before I put up a cluster of servers, I research the data center. I make sure that that my subscribers can use BitTorrent or can do this stuff and not have to worry about these takedown notices or abuse reports or whatever. And the servers, themselves, I use like SSD servers with real small hard drives. So the logs that the logs that would be needed to be generated to keep an ongoing type log would be like massive. So with not keeping any logs, I don't even have syslog turned on for the most part. Without keeping any logs, there's really not much I can do legally. I'm not bound in any. I have no knowledge of what people are doing.
All right. So customer privacy is paramount.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think I had a conversation with you about the real time session, real time logging, and I think I went back and I reread my terms of service, and yeah, I guess I seen it could be kind of construed that there's logging can be turned on, so I went and revised it, and because we do sometimes sometimes you have to turn on like a real time logging. It's just if someone's destroying your server with some of these DDoS DNS attacks and whatever, they can bring down a server fairly easily with not very much bandwidth. So there's that where you have to be proactive. You have to kind of you have to do something.
Yeah, one of the issues I have with certain groups of VPN users is they seem to only be interested in services that claim no logs, and a policy of just no logs to myself isn't enough. I'd rather have a provider who's open and honest about the kind of situations where they're going to need to enable real-time logging, like you say.
Yeah, there's really no. I don't care what provider you're with. If they claim they never log ever, they lie. You can't do that. There's just no way to keep a server running, smoothly without having any kind of logs.
And I think that's something the VPN provider industry needs to move towards. Being clearer with the policies that they offer. You can't have one provider saying no logs, and other providers being clear and then being penalised because customers are likely to go, no logs, I'll go with them.
Yeah.
Which is leading on to my next point, which is one of the nicer parts of your service? Because I noticed you've recently dropped your Russian node, and perhaps you can explain the reasons behind that.
Well, without going into a whole bunch of boring details, Russia has some laws that have been in effect. It came into effect the summer of 2013 that are very, very disturbing to anyone who's using the like a Russian node.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, they basically now have the power. Not only do they have the power to, anyone can take down that IP or blacklist that IP. They also have some very, very intense layer 7 filtering that's basically like countrywide now. And that's kind of the same thing that China and Iran use. And you never see nodes in China and Iran. And
That's true.
I think Russia's going to be kind of. I think you'll see the industry kind of shift and stop offering these nodes in Russia after people start to realize that some of these laws that the Kremlin have been enabling are just detrimental to any kind of privacy.
So is that like a standard point that LiquidVPN will be taking? Because I noticed you've dropped a few of the other servers recently, like the Czech Republic server, due to, was it DMCA notices or?
Yeah. We gotta. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to ever have to limit anything, ever.
Okay.
And the only way to be able to do that is by, instead of maybe just chasing flags, instead of doing that, doing real research on the data centers that you're going to be dealing with, and just using the ones that are going to allow you to run a service that legitimately doesn't log and that legitimately doesn't block services. My thing with I don't think it had anything so much to do with the Czech Republic as it had to do with FDC servers.
Right,
because I took down the Czech and U.S. West because FDC servers, they were giving, they had my back against the wall. I said, well, you're either going to have to get rid of torrents, BitTorrents, which is not only is it extremely hard to do, you'd basically have to just start blocking trackers. It's it kind of violates what a VPN is,
Yeah.
So yeah, I come down to you either have to do that or you're going to risk getting shut down, or you're going to have to get those people that are producing these DMs or these takedown notices. You're going to have to get rid of them, and the only way to do that would be to enable logs. So it's just like it's not worth it. So the servers went down, at the end of that billing period, and I'll never sign up with them again.
So you're willing to play the game of whack-a-mole with the servers based on regulations you put under, or?
Well, actually, I would say now, no. What I do now is I have a much more thorough vetting process.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't think you're going to see many more servers get taken down because of this, because I won't sign up with them in the beginning, because frankly, it costs a lot of money to put up a server.
Okay.
And time. So taking them down is not something I really want to get into doing. Not only that, people are, expect to see these servers and then all of a sudden they're gone. That doesn't look good for the service in general. So, it's a much more thorough of a vetting process that I have in place now.
All right, okay. One of the features which I did like about your service, and also is rather unique in the VPN industry, is this IP modulation. How does this actually work, and where did the idea behind it come from?
Well, the idea is basically, some of these services like AOL back in the day, They used to have something similar. They would, you would log in, and then they would have it was like a form of load balancing, basically. And they would have these block of IP addresses that your data would be going out to the internet with, and then it it would change, because it was based on whatever load that server was under at the time.
All right.
So that was kind of where the idea come from. I figured, wow, I could do that with 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 a VPN, and then you would have this much more privacy. So basically, all it really is it's a server cluster with anywhere from 15 to 60 IPs. There's a few different servers, and then they have this block of IPs that are set up. And then so anyone that, let's say, goes on to Dallas, or the U.S. South node, they get in a pool. So if there's 10 people in this pool and there's 30 different IPs, they're all sharing these IPs, and they just, it's a shared IP. It's not like the dynamic IPs, So you get a private IP, and then it just kind of rotates, and that's kind of how it keeps your data private, because not only do you have a shared IP with all these other people, you have all these shared IPs, and they are all rotating. So trying to figure out what session goes to who is I don't even know how it would be. It's a real pain. Even if you have the keys to the whole service, even if I wanted to, if I wanted to enable logging and try to track down what's going where, it would be an enormous task.
Is it possible to is the technology limitless? Is it possible to have, say, 1,000 IP addresses or IP addresses all over the world, or is it limited to a set band of IPs or a server?
No, the pool can be as big as you want. Now, and you can, we have multiple servers in the pools, like in the U.S. South. But as far as having IPs all over the world, it is possible. But there's only a few. I can only really think of one data center right now off the top of my head that would be able to provide something like that, and that would be OVH. Because you actually still have to have these servers all over the world, but then instead of server A in Amsterdam having these set IPs, they would all have to be shared through all your servers.
Okay.
But it is possible, and there's another way to do it. You could do it with a multi-hop type technology too, and that's something that I kind of been batting around with. And I think eventually there will be a test node with a multi-hop IP modulated server. I just don't know. I that might be version 3. I'm just kind of worried that the speed hit that you get with IP modulation, and then the speed hit that you get with the multi-hop might make it so it's it might make it so it's slower than what most people are going to be willing to deal with.
I see. But it is a very interesting feature, and it's one of the, like I said, it's one of the more unique features. Something I was intrigued when using, and something I'd like to see developed in the future. Perhaps some of the other providers might catch on to the idea as well.
Yeah, they might. Obviously, they could do whatever they want. The thing is some of these infrastructures aren't set up to do something like this. They would need to put it. A lot of providers are not using routers.
Okay.
They're using just servers, and you're not going to be able to do this with just an open VPN server. You need to have routers attached to do it.
It's one of your unique selling points then.
Yes.
Okay, one of the other thing which is probably unique to yourselves is, well, especially on the Russian server and I think possibly the German server, you're using non-NIST ciphers.
Yes. Still, the unfortunate reality is that even though we're using Camellia, they're still NIST. Camellia might not be a NIST cipher, but you're still using NIST ciphers on the server. It's just the instead of using AES, you're using Camellia, and that's the reason that I haven't kind of gone and implemented that system wide.
Okay.
Because right now OpenVPN doesn't allow some of these like there's ciphers that I would love to use right now. I mean,
Right.
there's a few of them, but you can't do it with OpenVPN.
Okay.
And until they change their policies and start introducing some of these newer ciphers, we're kind of stuck using, NIST standards. One way or another, you're going to be using a NIST standard.
It is nice to see that you're willing to experiment and offer slight variation to what some of the other providers are offering.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to get out there and test some of this stuff, and the only way to really test it is to put it in the real world. And so that's kind of why I put those nodes up and to see how people liked them and to see how popular they were. And then if they were really popular, then, if people really wanted me to do it, then, I would kind of enable it in more servers. It's the same thing with like the Kansas City node. I guarantee you are not going to find another VPN provider that's using that second key, that TLS key.
Okay.
Because it slows down their service too much. But some people really want that extra privacy of having, so I've got a server online and they can they can use those TLS keys and they can have that extra level of privacy that they're not going to be able to get anywhere else.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
I was to say at the sacrifice of some speed.
I see. One of the other new, shall we say, whiz systems that are being introduced at the moment are transparency reports or warrant canaries. Is that something you've considered or something you may consider in the future?
I think it's something that I'm watching it. Definitely watching it to see how it kind of plays out. It could be something I could see doing down the road. I'm just right now. I'm not sure that you can offer that and still be proactive in keeping. I mean, you can offer it and be proactive, but then I don't know if you're actually keeping up with the spirit of the whatever the warranty canary or whatever. Because I mean, let's face it, when there's someone hammering a server, you have to do something right there. You have to do something and to like get online and like schedule it and like I'm going to do it in a week.
Yeah.
What happens in the meantime in that server? I mean, these servers are I don't know what kind of server they're using, but I know for me, that's like like $800 a month or more.
Nice.
So I just don't know how that's going to play out, but I would definitely consider it. And if I can find a way to kind of enable it and still be proactive to where, you can fix problems when they come up. I think, it's not a bad idea. I don't know if it's a perfect idea, but, they're on to something.
So it's another thing to put in your in tray, and you can thank
Yeah.
me for.
Yeah, I mean, there's some cool ideas out there. I think a lot of this stuff, because this industry is starting to really grow. I think a lot of this stuff is in its infancy, and we'll see some things, evolve from these that might be a great solution. And and as soon as you can be sure, as soon as anything like that comes up, we'll be on board. I don't know if you're familiar with what PIA is doing right now, but they have a way to separate your billing from from the service.
Oh, right, okay.
Kind of like what but what this is they're allowing you to pay with prepaid gift cards.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And I think that could be kind of cool too.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of talk about separating billing from who's running the service, and I actually personally think that's a rather good idea.
I think that's the way to go.
The only concern, or would the concern be from your side, is who are you letting on to your network? Who are you letting use your servers? Because you possibly wouldn't have any, not background information, but you wouldn't know anything about the people who are using your service. Would this be a concern to you?
Not at all. I would much rather that.
Right.
The thing that concerns me is going to be the inflation of cost, and that's going to get passed on to the subscriber. Okay. Because a lot of these services, I can't say this for all of them, but a lot of us are running at we're at the bottom of what we can make. We can set our prices while still offering a very fast service.
Okay.
And you go much lower, then you're going to have to start overselling, and that's going to kill it. But then when you're separating your billing and your service, you've got another person, and they're not going to obviously they're going to want something for doing the billing, and I fear that that's going to get kind of put on the shoulders of the subscriber. And that's my only concern. But I kind of like the fact that I don't know who's on my network.
So that's another thing to look into for the future, more research.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you currently accept Bitcoin, or is that something that you'd look into for future?
No, we've been accepting Bitcoin for quite a while. I think Bitcoin. It was maybe I think LiquidVPN went online I think in March, and by the next month Bitcoin was an accepted form of payment.
All right, okay. And do you have any up and coming country expansion plans or any other plans for LiquidVPN in the future?
Well, we're kind of looking into some hardware devices that can be set on a thumb drive, and without giving too much away, but you can set it on a thumb drive and have a secure platform for all your communications. And we've got some plans to expand in some new areas. Canada being one. Canada's going to be probably the next one, and then after that, Asia. But there's always the server expansions. They happen pretty frequently. I've been, you might not be new locations, but I put new servers, up every couple of weeks in the locations that we're at, just to keep the bandwidth where it's at.
And in general, in the VPN market, do you envisage anywhere where that will go in particular in the coming years, or?
You mean? I don't quite understand that question.
Just generally, do you see any major changes or anything particular which is going to become big that you think all the providers might jump on, or?
Well, they're doing some things with some new VPN protocols. There's one out of Japan, for instance, that's pretty promising. And that basically it allows people to hop off of other users of the
Oh, right,
service.
okay.
It's kind of like almost like a private tour. And I think that's kind of cool. I'm kind of watching that and see how that plays out. I think you're gonna see more providers popping up, as more people start realizing how big of an issue this really is.
Mm.
But fundamentally, this technology has been around for quite some time. So it is pretty fleshed out. I don't think you're going to see any uber new implementations or anything like that. I think you're just going to see basic evolution of it.
Right, right. And another thing a lot of people are aiming towards is to be 100% anonymous. Do you think that's possible in today's day and age, with the legal ramifications? Or
Well, I guess 100% anonymous. I mean, you maybe go off the grid, and live in the mountains somewhere. But besides that, I mean, if you're talking about 100% anonymous and being online, I guess, yeah, I guess it could be possible. But you wouldn't be able to, you would be using the internet from public locations, and have to use, yes and no. It's really, I think it is possible to be online and be completely anonymous. But I don't think people, the people that are, doing this from home, no, I don't think they can be anonymous. I think to be completely anonymous, you're not going to be able to surf from your, from your location at all, because, whoever you're signing up for your ISP still got logs.
oh, okay, and
So they still know something's going on over there, and something can still be routed back to you. I think you would have to use like libraries and stuff like that in your area, and pay with Bitcoin, and
live in the mountains, as you said.
yeah, basically.
And just one, I suppose, most important question for anyone considering signing up to your service. Can you confirm you have not been subject to any requirements by the NSA or any government organisation to give blanket access to your service or customers?
Yeah, we've never had anything like that. No letters, no security letters, or police warrants or anything like that.
So guaranteeing at LiquidVPN there's no NSA letter.
No NSA letter as of 1/27/2014.
Thank you very much for that, Dave. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, if they have any questions about your service, or they fancy looking at your website, maybe looking in to signing up to LiquidVPN, then what's the best way to get in touch with yourself? Or
They can email liquid@liquidvpn.com, or the new website will be live today or tomorrow. And I have made sure to there's there's ways to open tickets on almost every page. So really, they can just click the button, and it'll get in touch with us from just about anywhere on our website.
okay, and the URL for your website is
www.liquidvpn.com.
okay. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us, Dave. It's been interesting chatting with you, and hopefully an insight into your service.
Thanks, Chris. It was very enjoyable.